one user on Reddit's Wall Street Bets forum claimed they took a $1 million position on a $4,000 deposit.
Solid.
What could possibly go wrong with that? The next story is from Bloomberg. Robinhood traders find infinite leverage glitch. The app let Robinhood Gold users trade stocks with excess borrowed funds, basically giving them access to free money for a while. Robinhood has allegedly added the value of covered calls incorrectly. The more money a customer borrows, the more money the app lends them for future trading. One user on Reddit's Wall Street Bets forum claimed they took a $1 million position on a $4,000 deposit.
Solid.
What could possibly go wrong with that? Robinhood says it is, and I quote, aware of the isolated situations and communicating directly with customers. If Reddit activity is anything to go by, they're not so isolated. What do we think of this?
Did anyone see Twitter's game on this when it came out? There was like Kevin Costner all over my feed as Robin. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, social has reacted really strongly to it. It was... It's crazy. I mean, it's more actually. It's almost a shame that it looks like the actual traders themselves are going to get hit with this, because that's who, in theory, it's being classed, I guess, as security fraud or securities fraud. But I mean, it's absolutely mad. I mean, for Robinhood to actually allow this, or for there to be a glitch like this, says something about user testing.
It's an interesting one, right? Because the activity out there is like, what the hell happened? And quite a few people are like, haha, I told you so. Because the whole gamification of the process has not been met with support. So, Ryan, I totally talked over you there.
No, don't be silly. I mean, I was just going to say on Adam's point there, in terms of going after the individuals themselves, a lot of that actually depends on the age. And to your point there, Robinhood's made a product specifically for unsophisticated users. They've then given out a capability to do options trading to, unsophisticated said users, and it's quite a complex financial product. And they screw up risk management, these users then take advantage in terms of the various different positions. The interesting thing is actually giving more about looking at the users themselves in terms of age. Do that? If they're falling under 18, do they then actually fall under the same rules? If we're led to believe, these are really young users who are being brought into this.
It's a good point, but if they are of age, they could be looking at accusations of fraud, definitely impact on their credit rating, and massive personal debts. What consequences could or should Robinhood face for this glitch?
Well, in a way, I mean, I think they should face some consequences, because at the end they made this platform available. When the moment you make something available for consumers, you are responsible for, protecting them, and that is kind of, before it becomes regulation, is a ethical kind of norm, right? Sure. And we've seen a lot of things went wrong in the banking industry in the past, that maybe there was not a specific regulation, but if you go in grey areas, then something happens. So I think they should face some consequences, and I think that's at the end, users, they always do everything they can with what they're given, right? So that's how you should test it when you do user testing.
I'd love to know what happened to the person who actually had that 1 million position on the foreground, whether they actually lost it all or not.
I'd love to know the person who's the head of UX.
Well, they're probably very good.
Could they withdraw those funds?
The question is their head of UX now the hottest property in the market, or desperately looking for a new job?
Good question. I think when you are developing a financial product, you go hopefully through lots of stages of rigorous user testing, but also looking at your regulations and making it robust. And I think for me, when I was reading the story today, I was quite surprised that this didn't come up in that user testing, or that they didn't polish or concreted this off, because I feel it's an obvious thing.
It's such a good point. You read it, and when you read stories like that, you think, oh, where did this go wrong?
Yeah.
But this one,
product manager's getting
where
fired.
did this get right? Where did this get through? Like somebody comes up to the table and says, I have this idea, and everyone else goes, there's nothing wrong with that. And then nothing comes up in the user testing.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy, because actually, if you go through the Fed Reserve, the ratios that they look at, I think it's either 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 in terms of exposure for normal people. Again, these aren't normal people. These are unsophisticated, I don't want to say children, but investors that they're actually bringing in. The point in terms of what Jasper's making here, though, which is an interesting one, from a looking over whether it was QA or whatever else in terms of when this was actually flagged. It was supposedly flagged last week. Now, from the SEC perspective, if a bug happens and you can actually show that you've taken action to it, they spent all weekend sorting out that actually stopped it at source. If the Reddit articles, if we're to believe it, this has been left open.
Yeah.
There was somebody who yesterday was talking about taking a position, I think that was the same one in terms of $1 million. So this is still ongoing. And actually, if it's still ongoing, then actually, Robinhood's going to be on the hook for this, surely.
Anyone got a US Robinhood account in here? I can't test it on air.
I wish I had. But moving on to